Hello and good evening. Welcome to the NIHR Leeds Biomedical Research Centre. My name is Dr. Steve Rose. I'm the Operations Director here at the Leeds BRC, and I will shortly be sharing a short webinar and some slides with some information on our PhD scheme this year. Firstly, I'd like to share some apologies. Professor Anne-Marie Reed-Keenan, OBE, who was hoping to join us tonight, unfortunately can't make it, so she does send her apologies. I'm going to take you now through a few slides, and I will make this recording available on our website. So hopefully, if you want to revisit any of the information, you can do at your own leisure. So, welcome to the NIHR Leeds Biomedical Research Centre and our non-clinical PhD programme. As I said, my name is Dr. Steve Rose. I'm Director of Operations here at the BRC. In this short webinar this evening, I'm going to give you a short introduction to the NIHR and the Biomedical Research Centre here at Leeds, a description on our non-clinical PhD programme that we've just opened to recruitment, and then take you through some steps and guidance on the application and assessment processes, the timelines and dates with important submission dates, and just highlight a few resources that you might find useful. So let's start with the National Institute of Health Research, or now known as the National Institute of Health and Care Research. This was formed in 2006 when Professor Dame Sally Davis managed to secure 1% of the NHS budget dedicated to provision of research within the NHS. To give you an idea of scale, last year, the NIHR budget was approximately £1.4 billion. So it's a significant amount of investment in the research space across the UK. It was designed and proposed as a vehicle for implementing the government's strategy for health research, with a very important strapline to improve the health and the wealth of the nation. In its first iteration, the NIHR was very much split into a number of different areas. There was infrastructure, and this is primarily focused on clinical research networks and clinical research facilities, biomedical research centres and biomedical research units. There were some systems for management systems and some information systems that underpinned a lot of the work. There was some programmatic funding that funded research projects and programs that were asking a specific research question. But importantly and relevant to today's presentation is the NIHR wanted to fund an NIHR faculty, which is looking to fund and enable current research leaders to deliver on behalf of the NIHR, but also to identify and bring on board new research talent. The biomedical NIHR was very much sold as an important partnership between universities and NHS organisations, and indeed the Leeds BRC here is a strategic partnership between the Leeds Teaching Hospitals NHS Trust and the University of Leeds, and more recently now with the University of York. At the centre of everything that NIHR does is a very open ambition to ensure that patients and public are at the centre of all our research and our research thinking, and that they inform and help us address the right and relevant research questions that is important for their populations and their communities. The NIHR has matured over the past 16, 17 years and is very much now looking at partnering with other funders and a focus on delivering and supporting high quality research where benefits across the NHS, public bodies and now social care. It's important that we involve and engage with patients, carers and publics as part of our patient-public involvement, engagement and participation strategies. But actually it's really important in wanting to invest in world-class infrastructure such as the BRC, and working within and alongside that is a skilled research delivery workforce. And so it's important that we attract, train and support the best researchers to tackle the complex health and care challenges of the future. And that's one of the reasons why the NIHR Leeds BRC is investing in PhD programs this year. And just to stress, the NIHR's mission is to improve the health and wealth of the nation through our research activities. So what is a biomedical research centre? Biomedical research centres are world-leading research centres that excel at what they do, and they drive innovation primarily in the prevention, diagnosis and early treatment of ill health. The BRCs are very much at the very early translational part of the pipeline. So we deliver both experimental and translational medicine research. We try to translate advances in these biomedical research fields into benefits for patients, and we provide a key component of the NHS contribution to our nation's international competitiveness, by trying to make our centres even better. You'll see on the demographic there are 20 current BRCs that were refunded last December, and Leeds works very closely with the 3 other northern BRCs based in Newcastle, Manchester and Sheffield, and we have a northern BRC agreement, so that we work collectively and collegiately together. The Leeds BRC, on its first 3 funding cycles, was very much focused on a single research strength in musculoskeletal disease, led by Professor Paul Emery. But in our latest bid and our latest award, we have now expanded into 6 research themes. You'll see on this slide that in the top left is Professor Philip Conahan, a clinical academic and consultant rheumatologist who is our director, and alongside him is Professor Hamid Pandit, another clinical academic and a consultant orthopaedic surgeon as our deputy director. And our vision is very clear: to improve the health and well-being of our communities by accelerating diagnosis, enabling early treatment that is personalised for each patient, and where possible, prevent disease and infection. As I mentioned, we've got 6 research themes. We have surgical technologies led by Professor David Jane, haematology led by Professors Eve Roman and Gordon Cook, pathology led by Professor Philip Quirk, antimicrobial resistance and infection by Professor Mark Wilcox, musculoskeletal by Professor Anne Morgan, and our cardiometabolic theme by Professor David Beach. We do also have some cross-cutting capabilities. One is in data and AI. That is as yet in the very gestational space, but we are supported by a methodology cross-cutting capability that is delivered by our colleagues from our clinical trials research unit at the University of Leeds, which is a world-class accredited trials unit with a huge amount of expertise in trials methodology, health economics, and the like. This schematic just shows our 6 themes and some of our other activities. So we have data and AI, but we also have academic capacity development, which is where we identify, train, and support academics in their career pathway. And importantly, we have our PPIEP, our Patient and Public Involvement, Engagement and Participation Group, which is talking to our communities and trying to reach into our underserved local communities to try and identify what the right research question for them and how they can be part of research. And we really want to enable translational research for our patients' benefit across all of our themes and multiple long-term conditions. This is quite a busy slide, and please don't try and write it all down, because these slides will be made available after the webinar and be posted alongside the recording of tonight. But this just goes to show our 6 work streams, 6 themes and their component work streams. You'll see musculoskeletal is the largest with 7 work streams. The rest of I've got 2 or 3, and our cross-cutting 6I domains of inflammation, infection, immunity, imaging, intelligent systems, and innovation. And as I said, we have underpinning capacities. We've talked about PPIEP, data, and our methodology. As part of our non-clinical PhD programme, each of these work streams has put forward one project on their topic of research, and they are all listed and available on the PhD website at the University of Leeds. So our academic capacity development is a key component of the BRC as we look to identify and support an academic research career. We do have a strategy in this space, and that is available on our BRC website under our academic training page. So please do go and read that if it's of interest, but that is not a prerequisite for applying for one of our PhDs. So just to give you a taste of what our strategy talks about, we at the Leeds BRC are aspiring to be the workplace of choice for our local research community. We want to support an inclusive, multi-professional workforce that drives world-leading research, that's embedded in an environment where individuals are supported and encouraged to achieve their full potential. And we really want to provide an environment which promotes a positive research culture, which values and rewards collaboration, interdisciplinary work, respect well-being, and which is supported by personal and peer development. So our culture at the BRC is very much inclusive, and we really want to identify excellent talent to come and work with us, and we will try to look after you as part of as your career in research progresses. So our non-clinical doctoral opportunities this year, we have the reason you're here tonight is to hear about our 4 non-clinical PhD fellowships. But I will point out, if any of you have a healthcare qualification, whether that is an allied health professional, a clinical scientist, a medic, a dentist, or any other type of healthcare qualification, we are running a parallel clinical PhD fellowship scheme, details of which are also available on the BRC website and the University of Leeds job site. But our non-clinical PhD fellowships that we are talking about tonight, we've had generous funding from the University of Leeds to be able to offer 4 of these, either on a full-time, which is 3 years, or up to 5 years on a part-time basis, with funding to cover an annual stipend that matches the UKRI recommended value. That's currently 18,622 at the current year's rate. It will go up next year and the year after, and we will match whatever the higher rate is. We will also cover home PhD registration fees, and the total funding available for PhD is £90,000. So there is a budget for personal development and some consumables towards your research project. And as I said, we are able to offer these on either a full-time or a part-time basis. The topics we have on offer all align with our 6 research themes and their component work streams. So the 4 fully funded PhD opportunities have 22 projects to choose from. There's 1 project that is from each of our 19 work streams, and there are 3 projects that come from our methodology cross-cutting theme as well, which is helping to develop and research into trials research. So please do take a look at those, and there will be more than 1 project per research theme, and you may be interested in more than 1. And I'll come on to whether you can apply for more than 1 in a moment. I just want to reflect slightly on why we would encourage you to come to Leeds to do a PhD. And I will declare an interest here. I am a Leeds graduate and postgraduate. I did my PhD here at Leeds as well. But I would just highlight some really important points about Leeds and why you should come to Leeds. We are a Russell Group university. The university and city are incredibly vibrant and student friendly. There is a very large postgraduate community here at the university. We do have state-of-the-art research facilities, and I should state at least one of our PhDs would spend some time at York, and they also have some really high-quality research facilities there. All of our academic supervisors are world-leading in their own right, and the university is incredibly proud that over 90% of its research is deemed to be world-leading or internationally excellent. I hope you will appreciate that because we're a biomedical research centre, our projects are all clinically relevant, and this is borne out by our strategic partnership with the local NHS Trust. And just to give you a flavour of why Leeds is important in health research, there's been significant investment in Leeds and West Yorkshire around the health research from the government. I'm talking to you tonight from the Biomedical Research Centre. We have £20.5 million worth of funding over the next 5 years. We have a clinical research fellowship, a clinical research facility that delivers very early translational clinical trials locally here. We've just been awarded a regional research delivery network and a surgical health research centre. All have only just been announced this past couple of weeks. And we're incredibly proud to be part of the West Yorkshire Investment Zone, which was announced yesterday, which is a further £20 million regionally to invest in an innovation arc across the region. So Leeds is vibrant, it is important for health research, and it's a really great place to come and be a postgraduate researcher. I'd just like to take you shortly through the application process, because it is slightly different to a more traditional PhD application. Whilst we have 22 projects on offer, only 4 will get funded. So we are expecting this to be a highly competitive project. So our recommendations to you before you apply is do some reading on the topic area that you're interested in doing your PhD in. Read about the supervisors and their research interests. And we would absolutely encourage you to contact the supervisory team, and their details are found in the PhD advert on the University of Leeds website. Do get to know the project and try to get to understand a little bit about the research interests of the supervisors and their broader research interests. We do have a short BRC Early Career Researcher seminar series that's available on our YouTube channel. Just search for Leeds BRC on YouTube and you should come across it. Some of those things might be quite interesting and informative for you to listen to. When you are preparing your application, I would strongly counsel you to read the instructions carefully. As I said, we are slightly different in our approach this year. You can find all of our PhD projects on Find a PhD, or you can find them at phd.leeds.ac.uk. And if you get to that landing page and search for BRC, all of our projects will pop up there, along with some instructions on how to apply. We are trying to take a different approach this year, and we're asking applicants to support a 1-page, 3 supporting statements document, and I'll come on to that shortly. We are asking you to complete a narrative CV, not a traditional CV, and I've got a slide on that shortly as well. You are allowed to choose up to 2 projects. So if you have a ranked 1 and ranked 2 project, you are more than welcome to identify those rankings on your application, but you only need to apply once, and that should be to your preferred PhD project. But there is an opportunity for you to identify a second or a reserve project if you so wish. The application process will also ask you to complete a standard University of Leeds PhD application form to provide copies of your qualification and English language capabilities if that's applicable to you. And we're also asking you to fill in a BRC EDI questionnaire. The EDI questionnaire is not mandatory, it is optional, but we'd really value it if you would complete that and send that in, because we really want to make sure that we are being as equitable as we can with our recruitment processes for our PhDs. I'll remind you again later on towards the end of the webinar, but the deadline for applications is the 1st of February next year. I mentioned that as part of your application process, we will ask you to submit 3 statements, and there is a template for you to use available from our website, from the PhD advert. It's simply a statement on a summary of your academic and employment achievements to date. It's an opportunity to explain your motivations to do a PhD with the BRC and within your research project, and also an opportunity to describe a situation where you've gathered evidence and uses evidence to come to conclusions or to inform actions. What I should point out, however, is we want those to be completely anonymized to the panel that is reviewing these. So please do not declare your identity. your personal characteristics or any of the institutions you've studied or worked at. So please be mindful of that as you're writing your statements. We're asking you to complete a narrative CV rather than a traditional CV, and we've provided a narrative CV template as part of the application process for you to use. So please do use this and don't upload an alternate version or an alternate type of CV. Why are we using a narrative CV? Well, it's to enable people with a non-linear or non-traditional route into research to have an equal opportunity for being shortlisted and interviewed and awarded a PhD with us here at the BRC. So the narrative CV is designed to allow you to make possible all the relevant contributions you've made towards research and innovation. It's not a checklist. There are examples provided under each heading, but you're not limited to or required to include an example of each. Your narrative CV will be used at the interview stage, but will be reviewed as a whole. The interview panel will draw from examples across the template to make an assessment. And we'll use the narrative CV to assess your career trajectory toward undertaking a PhD in your field, relative to your career stage and the opportunities you've had to date. So again, it's really an ambition of ours to be as fair and equitable in our awarding and recruitment of our PhDs as we can. 3-question section that you will submit that is anonymous will allow us to have an unbiased process for shortlisting, and it's just this 3 statements on its own that will be used for shortlisting. So make sure what you put in there really counts and really conveys what your research activities and interests and bits are. There will be an independent panel assessing the applications. That will include one or both of our academic capacity development leads, the head of the graduate school for the Faculty of Medicine and Health here at the University of Leeds. We have an independent chair, which is the academic capacity development lead from the Manchester Biomedical Research Centre, and I'll be sitting on that panel as well. Should you be invited to interview, the interview panel will be the same as the shortlisting panel, but we will also have a senior academic on there, which will ideally be a theme lead, if we have one that is not conflicted by having an applicant to one of the projects within their theme. As part of the assessment and the interview, you're selling yourself here. Panel will use all the materials you submitted, the application page, as part of the interview process. We will be looking at your research experience to date, but reflecting on the opportunities you've had to undertake some research. We're really looking forward for a commitment to a research career. And of course, using the modified narrative CV allows you to explain opportunities. And if you had career breaks or other reasons while your educational or research career has not been linear, to explain those away. And we will very much look to be as fair and equitable as we can as we interview. I want to remind you of our timelines. 1st of February next year is the application deadline. Unfortunately, we cannot accept applications to come after this date, so do please be mindful of that date as you prepare and submit your application. We will commit to contacting shortlisted candidates by the 19th of February with invitations to come for interview. The interviews will be held on the 27th of February, so that is a fixed date. But for the candidates, that will be online via Teams, so there's no need to travel to Leeds. After interview, we fully expect to have our offers out by within 10 days of the interview, by about the 7th of March. And we expect the PhDs to start at the start of the next academic year, which is September, October 2024. I said I'd mention a few resources. I hope you found the webinar site useful, but a recording of this will be made available at our BRC website, and we'll send a link through the PhD page, so you can either revisit this, or if you weren't able to join us tonight, there is this resource available to you. There's some information on the BR website. There's lots of information on the university, in particular the Faculty of Medicine, Health and the School of Medicine websites at the University of Leeds. As I mentioned earlier, the BRC does have an early career research seminar series on our YouTube channel. And we do also have the Faculty Graduate School that can help with any questions about application or forward any questions onto the BRC, and the email address is here on this slide. I guess finally from me, your considerations, I would very much encourage you to get to know the BRC and what NIHR does and stands for. Please do follow the guidance and the instructions to submit your PhD and really sell yourself with a professional submission. So that's the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, we would welcome you to send those into our email address at acd.brc@leeds.ac.uk, and we'll endeavour to compile a list of FAQs and share via our PhD landing page. And as mentioned before, you can find that easily by searching for phd.leeds.ac.uk, and then in the search box, just type in BRC, and all our projects will pop up there, along with a landing page with some details of instructions and all the forms, the 3 statements, the narrative CV templates that we'd ask you to use. I do hope you found this webinar useful, and we'd be very happy to answer questions via our generic inbox there when you'd like to send them in. So thank you very much for your attention this evening, and we hope to see some of your applications come through in due course. Thank you.